Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Before starting the video, please subscribe and keep watching for more details videos. Aryna Sabalenka goes topless. WTA #1 breaks internet with bold summer post. See pics. Aryna Sabalenka is yet to return to action following her Wimbledon 2025 semifinal defeat. After a heartbreaking Wimbledon semifinal loss, Aryna Sabalenka took some time away from tennis, skipping both the Washington Open and the Canadian Open. While fans missed her on the court, the world #1 has made waves off it, sending social media into a frenzy with a bold beachside Instagram post. The photo, which featured Sabalenka sunbathing in a semi-topless pose with the caption, "A day spent in the sun," quickly went viral, grabbing fans' attention, being one of a kind. The Belarusian star is now expected to be back in action at the upcoming Cincinnati Open. It will be her final hardcourt appearance before the U.S. Open 2025, where she will defend her title. Sabalenka had skipped both the Washington Open and the Canadian Open, opting for recovery and some time away from competition after what she called was one of the toughest losses of her career. Her last appearance was at the All England Club, where the world #1 was knocked out in the semifinals by Amanda Anisimova 4-6, 6-4, 4-6. The defeat hit hard. Speaking after the match, Aryna Sabalenka had shared the emotional toll of coming so close to another Grand Slam final. "Losing sucks, you know," she said. "You always feel like you want to die. You don't want to exist anymore. And this is the end of your life. Every time you compete at that tournament and you get to the last stages, you think that you're getting close to your dream. Then you lose the match, and you feel like, okay, this is the end," Sabalenka added. Despite the emotional setbacks, Sabalenka has had a strong year. So far, she's won 3 titles in 2025, Brisbane International, Miami Open, and Madrid Open. However, it could have been even better. The 27-year-old came agonizingly close to winning 2 Grand Slam titles, falling short in both finals at Australian Open and Roland Garros. At the 2025 Australian Open, she was denied a 3rd straight title in Melbourne by Madison Keys, who won her first slam with a 6-3, 2-6, 7-5 victory. Meanwhile, at the French Open, Sabalenka lost another tight final to Coco Gauff, 6-7-5, 6-2, 6-4, giving the American her first Roland Garros crown. Now, with the Cincinnati Open ahead, all eyes are on Sabalenka's return. The event will provide the final preparation before defending her U.S. Open title, aiming to add a 4th Grand Slam to her name. Aryna Sabalenka, the quiet before the roar. As the sun set on center court that fateful July afternoon, the crowd's cheers still echoed in the air. But Aryna Sabalenka walked off Wimbledon's manicured grass, not with defeat etched on her face, but with a storm of contemplation brewing behind her focused eyes. It wasn't just another semifinal loss. It was a chapter closed too soon. Since then, the Belarusian powerhouse has been conspicuously absent from the courts. The WTA Tour has rolled on, yet one of its brightest stars has remained behind the curtain, stirring speculation, whispers, and wonder. Where is Aryna Sabalenka? And more importantly, what storm is she preparing to unleash? The echoes of center court. Wimbledon 2025 wasn't just another tournament for Sabalenka. It was a battlefield of redemption. After years of scraping against the sport's glass ceiling, semifinals, heartbreaks, and near misses, Sabalenka had surged into the semifinals with the momentum of a wrecking ball. Her ground strokes crackled like lightning. Her presence was thunderous. But in that semifinal clash, something shifted. Whether it was the pressure, an inspired opponent, or the subtle weight of expectation, Aryna fell, not dramatically, but definitively. She left the court with a polite wave, but without her usual fire. And then silence. The uncharacteristic quiet. For a player known for her raw, unfiltered emotion, on and off the court, Sabalenka's sudden radio silence felt like an unnatural pause in a raging symphony. No cryptic tweets. No practice clips. No media appearances. As the hardcourt season approached, fans expected her to pop up in Montreal or Cincinnati, preparing for the U.S. Open. But as of early August 2025, Sabalenka's name is still missing from entry lists. Her social media accounts, once vibrant with training updates and candid glimpses into her personality, have gone dormant. The tennis world, always thirsty for narratives, began to speculate. Is it injury? Is it burnout? Is she done for the season? No answers have been forthcoming. Just silence. But sometimes, silence is not retreat, it is preparation. A player like no other. Sabalenka isn't your typical tennis star. Where others wield finesse, she brings ferocity. Where others are stoic, she wears her passion like a badge. Her journey has always been more storm than breeze. From the early days in Minsk to her breakout years on tour, Sabalenka has navigated adversity with clenched fists and fearless forehands. She's not just an athlete, she's a force. That's why this current absence feels more like the eye of a hurricane than a surrender. Her game, built on power and momentum, thrives on rhythm. Perhaps she's taking the time to find a new rhythm, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally. And in a sport that increasingly values mental health as much as physical prowess, Sabalenka's decision to step back, if that's what this is, may be a sign of evolution, not retreat. The ghosts and the grit. It's easy to forget that behind the fierce persona is a human being who has endured more than most. Sabalenka has spoken openly about personal struggles, pressure, and the weight of expectation. When her father passed away in 2019, she carried that grief onto every court she stepped on. And still she climbed. Still she fought. The silence following Wimbledon might be grief of another kind, the kind that comes from falling short of your own sky-high standards. A loss in a Grand Slam semifinal doesn't sting because of what it is, but because of what it isn't: a title, a breakthrough, a moment finally seized. And yet, if there's one thing Sabalenka has proven, it's this. She is built not just for winning, but for enduring. The game without her. In her absence, the tour feels different. Not necessarily quieter, but missing that jolt. Iga Swiatek continues to dominate. Coco Gauff is soaring. Elena Rybakina's ice-cold precision is making headlines. But none of them bring the energy Sabalenka brings. The visceral emotion. The gladiator roars. The unfiltered humanity. Without her, the women's game feels a little too polite, a little too tidy. Tennis is a beautiful sport, but Sabalenka reminds us that it is also a war of wills. And love her or not, she is one of the game's most essential disruptors. Behind the curtain, a return in the making? There are murmurs, unconfirmed, unannounced, that Sabalenka is back on the practice courts. A fan spotted her hitting in Monaco. Another swears she was seen running sprints in the Algarve. These are not press releases, just whispers. And perhaps that's how she wants it. To rebuild in peace. To sharpen the sword out of sight. If she is, in fact, preparing for a return, the hard-court swing, especially the U.S. Open, offers the perfect stage. New York suits her. Loud, fast, chaotic, unforgiving. It's where warriors come to write redemption arcs. And who better than Aryna Sabalenka to script a comeback that silences all doubt? The power of the pause. In today's sports culture, we expect our stars to always be on, always posting, always training, always visible. But sometimes, the greatest victories are forged in stillness. The silence following Wimbledon 2025 might not be the end of a chapter. It might be the writing of a new one. Maybe Sabalenka is working on her serve again. Maybe she's rebuilding her fitness. Maybe she's addressing something deeper. The pressure, the identity, the why behind all the winning. Whatever the reason, she owes the world nothing. And that's precisely why the world is waiting. Because we know when she comes back, it won't be half-hearted. It never is. The storm that builds. Aryna Sabalenka is not done. She is not a footnote in the Swiatek era. She is not a what could have been. She is still in her prime, perhaps even approaching a new one. Every great athlete learns the value of pause. Serena did. Djokovic did. Even Federer, at his peak, understood when to retreat and recover. The best don't burn out, they build up. Right now, Aryna Sabalenka may be building something we can't yet see. A stronger serve, a quieter mind, a bigger purpose. When she returns, it will be with the force of someone who has not only remembered who she is, but decided who she wants to become. The final word. Wimbledon 2025 wasn't the end, it was the ignition. The The silence senses not absence, it's anticipation. Aryna Sabalenka may be out of sight for now, but if tennis has taught us anything, it's that comebacks aren't just possible, they're inevitable. So watch the skies, because the roar is coming, and when it does, it will be unmistakable. Aryna Sabalenka doesn't whisper her comebacks. She slams them.